welcome back to my channel. This is the little sewing room and I'm Chris. As you can see, we've got two new members or two new subscribers. This is Poppy and this one's Bobby. Poppy is 10 years old and Bobby is 12 years old, and they usually like to sit at my feet while I'm sewing. They'll see what I'm doing. Just going to put them down because they're wiggling a bit. Oh, they'll probably stay in here, so I'll have to just watch where I'm walking, else I do stand on them. I thought that I'd do a small vlog on some of the things I've altered just to try and make my sewing space better, to try and help me see a little bit better. As I mentioned in my last vlog, I was supposed to go for surgery on my cataracts and I got COVID when I got back from Italy. So I had to cancel it. So over the last 12, 15 months, we have changed this room a couple of times. The first time was my husband had his desk in front of the window, and I was at this end, which at the minute, being summer, is fine, but in winter I couldn't see a thing. So I asked if he'd mind swapping ends. So I've changed from this end to that end, and then we've made a few tweaks to it since then. One of the main things is this cupboard here, which is like a filing cabinet. Used to have the printer on it at that end, just behind my chair, which didn't give me a lot of room to get in and out of my chair. So I decided to plan out the room. So I measured it. It's 3.70 metres by 2.40 metres wide, and got little bits of paper to the size of the things that I wanted in it to see where we could fit them, to make sure that we could get the things in that we wanted to. And this was the result of that. So we moved the cupboard from that end to this end. We bought this IKEA desktop and just put it on top of the original desk and cupboard. So it's got one continuous length, whereas we used to have a gap there, as you can see. Move the printer to here so that I can do my PDF patterns. This is Dolly, who stands in front. She doesn't inconvenience us with the cupboard, because the only thing that's really in there is printer paper, and I can move her out of the way because she's quite lightweight. So as I said, this end's my husband, so he's got his computer and all his bits and pieces. And then if we go up to this end, watching where I stand because of Poppy, my part starts here, as you can see. This is my cotton holder, bobbin holder, and I'll just show you how it's a piece of 3 inches by 1 inch wood. I drilled holes in it. I cut some dowlings and glued those in, and now my bobbin's just slot on. There's the odd one or two in between because I keep getting more cottons. So that's very handy for keeping my cottons close, and I can see when I'm getting low if I need to buy any more. In this I have a scale ruler, some quilting rulers, my pattern master. I've got my sewing curve ruler, and some hooks that belong to the notice board, so that I've got spares. Next to that I've got a metal meter stick, which sometimes comes in handy for doing dress patterns if they've got long lengths on them. And then I've got a 12-inch metal ruler. Next to that I've got, these are some of the projects I've done. I want to get these into my project book, just not got around to it yet. I've got my pinking shears. These are my paper scissors. They're my old dressmaking scissors, which I now use for lining and interfacing. and these are my new dressmaking scissors. I have 2 rotary cutters, one small one and one larger one. Then in the jars I have buttons, that's just odds and ends, black buttons or dark buttons. And that one is D-rings, key rings, magnetic clasps, things like that. Some more buttons that are on cards, large press studs, bias binding in small pieces, and that one has got safety pins and bag feet, the little studs that go on the bottom of your bag so that it doesn't sit on the floor. This little cotton holder is what I want to use for my Mirror Flex threads. I haven't got many at the moment, but so that's why other things are on there, but I want to try and keep those separate. This is my lamp, which can bend in all different directions. You can even take it off and hang it around your neck so that it's shining straight at what you want. It also plugs in to recharge while you're using it. Next to that, I've got my sewing clips and my little box of treasures, which has got my wrist pin cushion, a couple of clips that are going back in the box, a magnetic pin cushion, a fabric marker, everybody's favourite tool, seam ripper. Then inside are magnetic guides to make sure you keep your seams straight. That's for measuring buttonholes. I have the tool for changing the needle on my sewing machine, my overlocking needles, spare pair of snips, tweezers, glue marker, screwdrivers, buttonhole chisel, haul, and things like that. Things that I use quite a lot, so I keep them close to hand. So I'll keep all those together. They're the snips that I use, cutting all my ends off. My sewing machine and my overlocker, I always keep them covered up because it does get quite dusty in here. We leave the doors open for the dogs to come in and out, and sometimes it does get quite dusty. So this one is my overlocker, which is an overlocker and cover machine. I have used the cover machine a couple of times, the cover stitch. I have actually booked onto a course to learn more about using it because I do overlocking and I do cover stitch. I've never done a roll edge. I don't know how to do, so it looks like it's overlocked, but it's flat, like on sportswear. And I think it's a waste of time spending a lot of money on something if you're not going to use it to its full potential. So I have booked onto a course. Hopefully I will make that course. It depends on when my appointment comes through for my cataract procedure. When I got this, it didn't. My old one had a little thing on it where when you sew and the bits fall into the bin. This didn't come with one, so I've just made this out of a bit of pleather and cotton, and because it's pleather it's quite slippy, so it falls off, and I just scoot it into the bin, and as you can see it's quite a bit in there. There's other bits, when I trim things I sometimes chuck that in there as well. So that is the overlocker. I'll back on in a minute. This one is my sewing machine. It's Janome. It's not a top grade, you know, you can buy them a lot with a lot more on than this one, but besides doing some applique, I don't do a lot besides studs, so I don't do a lot of embroidery on it or anything like that. It doesn't have the stitches, although it does have 100 different stitches. It does do flowers and things, but again, it's something that I've never had a go at, so that's something I want to try and do. I want to try and have a go at doing some of these other stitches and see what they look like, because I think sometimes a little bit of embroidery on a plain garment looks quite nice, but for me it's ideal. I mean, you've got your quick buttons, which are your straight sewings, a medium zigzag, a bigger zigzag buttonhole, and things like that. So for me it's an ideal machine. I do like it. I did have one similar, but it didn't cut the threads, and I didn't think it threaded the needle until I went to a little shop that was doing quilting, well, did a sewing school type thing where you could go and you could learn to make. I went to make some placemats for Christmas, quilted ones, and I'd never done quilting before, so I thought, well, it'll give me an idea of how to do it, because I wanted to make a quilt. And they've got the same machine as me, and it was automatic threader. So I'd had it for 4 years and didn't know it did that. But then I upgraded to this one because it's got more stitches and it does cut the threads. And I do like it. I do get on with it well. I just want to, like I say, try and get some more of these stitches used. My chair, my cushions, and as I say, the cupboard that we've moved down there used to sit here, so it never gave me enough room. I only had sort of that room to get out, so I had to turn my chair every time, which made it a bit awkward, where now I've got plenty of room. The main thing that we've done to make it easier for me to see is, for me to see, I have to always have my nose touching the sewing machine. And my husband bought me this for my birthday. It's an electric desk that moves up and down. It's also got charging points, so if I'm watching something on YouTube, if I've got to a point and I don't understand the pattern, and there's a sew along on the internet, on YouTube, I can plug it in and still use it even though it's low on battery, and that has been a godsend, being able to lift it so I can see without crouching right over, which does your back in. It's made it easier for me, and I do find it really useful. I'll probably not even drop it down when I've had my eyes done. The only thing is, instead of having my sewing machine here and me like that, I can sit back and sew in comfort. So yeah, that's really been worth its money. I've also got an extension table for my sewing machine, which is kept down there with a cutting mat. So yeah, I do like my table. It's been very handy. I've got a little pin cushion here that I chuck all my bits and pieces in when I'm trimming my ends. I've got a couple of sewing feet here that I need to put back in the box for a project I've just finished. And then if I turn around, on the book, well, I'll start with this. My notice board is, the things on the top are just sometimes cards and things that have come with things I've ordered. That is my sharing instructions. So when I'm sharing, because I've practiced to see what are the best settings to put it on to do the sharing, and when I made my Mabel, I got it just right, so I wrote everything down, so I know that I need the stitch length on 4, the tension on 4, and the thread tension on 6, so that's there so that I don't forget, because I will forget. These are some patterns that I've traced out and I am waiting to sew. I haven't done a lot of sewing over the last month because I am really struggling now. If I just move that out of the way for a minute. Here I have, this is some Swiss tracing paper, my normal tracing paper, and that is craft card because I want to do a block. I've thought about it for some time, and I think it'll help with the fitting. Not so much with dresses and things, because I seem to be able to get that now, but trousers, I'm struggling with trousers, and I thought, well, if I do a block that is to my size, then I can use that to get the pattern right for the trousers. So that's what that's for. And then if we go to the top shelf, well, it's not a top shelf, it's above the shelf. I have some wadding in the grey bag and on the top. The box for my vlogging kit. The black file's got PDF patterns in it. And I think the bottom one was for my extension table for the sewing machine. Then if we come on to this one, sewing magazines that I bought when I started sewing again, sewing books. I've got this one that explains how to make patterns and how to do a block. And then these are all my PDF patterns. Well, no, they're not. They're not all PDF patterns. Some of them, it don't matter what pattern I do, I always trace off. I don't like cutting into patterns, because if somebody else wants you to make them something, you can't do it if you haven't got their size, because you've cut it off. So I always trace off my patterns, so these are all the tracings and the PDFs. So I use these envelopes with card on the back to keep them in. Before that I used to just use white envelopes, as you can see here, this one, which is getting ready to change. So as they get tatty, I just change them and put them into these, and I buy these in bulk off of Amazon. So in the envelopes. So yeah, so these are all PDF patterns and tracings off of PDF patterns and normal patterns. That's my box for my magnifying glass, which are these, and as you can see, I put them on. I do look stupid, but and even with those on, I still struggle. So I'm getting to the limit now with what I can do. On this shelf, I have this little booklet. Oh, I got because a lot of the fabrics and what they're called now are different to what they were when I first started years ago. And this just gives you a bit of an idea of different fabrics and what they like. So if I want to make something and I'm not sure what the fabric's like, I can always look in here. It doesn't have everything, but it is useful because it's the most popular ones. And that's just a book on beads and accessories for the sewing machine. Then I made a tailor's ham and one for doing the sleeves. In this box it's just scraps, small scraps of fabric. So if I wanted to do like a small, like I did with my cushion, I can make a little quilted cushion cover. This one's got my overlocking threads in it. I do only use black and off-white. I don't use white, I use off-white. And it's not caused a problem up to now. If I've got a certain item that you're going to see the stitching, like I said, if you do a sports garment that's going to have it on the top because it's flat rather than joining the fabric together, I would probably buy the colour to go with the project. That small piece is of interfacing, so I save all the bits, and then if I have only got a small piece for a rouleau loop or something like that that just tell you to use interface, and I use all my scraps up. This one has got all my elastics and my various bindings and things in. It's getting a bit full now because the top won't go on. My sellotape for sticking my PDF patterns together. Then on this one, this is a project I started. I put it out, but I haven't done a lot else with it yet, so I'm waiting for some bits and pieces to come. And what I tend to do is cut it out, put it into here with the pattern, and then any accessories like cotton, zip, buttons go into a small project bag, and then I put that inside the big project bag, so that by the time I come to sew the project up, everything is in there together and I know where it is, and that's where I store all my bags. I've got a pair of quilting gloves. This is that's got zips in it. I usually buy, like I say, I buy everything for the project I'm doing, but then sometimes I change my mind and do it a different way, so I sometimes end up with spare zips. This has just got odds and ends. It's got a calculator in it. There is some bulldog clips, which is what I clip my patterns on there with. I have got quite a few metal bobbins because a previous sewing machine I had used metal bobbins, and I've seen people who say that don't use metal if it takes plastic because it's not good for the machine, so I've stopped using those. And then in this basket are the extra bits to make my overlocker into a cover machine, extra part for my lamp, clamp for my lamp, spice bindings, make extra spare snips, spare seam ripper, extra blades for my rotary cutter. They're all in that basket, so I know where it is. They're just a few notebooks that I use for jotting down what fabric or what accessories and notions I need for any project I'm doing. so that when I go out shopping I've got it with me, so if I see something I think, oh yeah, that'll be nice to make that dress, how much do I need, so I've always got it with me, so I tend to write it and pop it in my bag. In here I have 2 lots of pattern weights. They're very lightweight and they're quite heavy, so depending on what the project is and what I need to weight down, depends which ones I use. I've got a mini iron. Which comes in handy for things like quilting when they are little projects. Next to that I have a box of bulldog clips and quilting pins, safety pins. My pencil case, which has got highlighters, pencils, fabric markers, pens, rubber, things like that, Fitstick. My husband bought me this set of pencils so that when I'm doing my tracing my patterns off, I've got a nice set of pens. I do prefer what do we call them? These type of pens where you, pencils, where you put the leg down, because when you're going outside of a ruler or something, sometimes the pencil goes further out, where these are more accurate. So I use those for my patterns. There are a few spare dressmaking pins. This is my snap set, so I've got all the things to put snaps on. And the tool to take things out of it, and the instructions of how to do them, because when you don't do them very often you forget how to do them, but that's handy, it keeps it nice and tidy. All the ones that you get when you buy the snaps, I save all those. So they're in there, and then this box contains eyelets, snaps, press studs, hooks and eyes, things like that that you sometimes use for your dressmaking. So that's that shelf. The next one are my patterns. This is the scrap pieces of tracing paper. Again, I save all those because if you're doing small bits like facings or something like that, I use the bits up rather than, or if you've got to do an adjustment and you need pieces of scrap paper, I always save those. These are all my patterns. So what I tend to do is if I have a pattern I want to make, let's say it's this sagebrush top. What I would do is I'd get the pattern out, I would trace it off, which are these bits. Because of this pattern is only got small pieces, it has gone into the envelope with the original pattern, whereas usually I put it in an envelope, but it's gone into this one. So take the pattern out, I trace it off, and then they go into the envelopes so that I keep it as like a master copy. I don't have a lot of patterns, although I do, well I say I don't have a lot of patterns, I do have quite a few PDF patterns. But I have enough for the things that I want to make. That's just a notebook I've got. Things I wrote down. These are some patterns. When you dressmaker, you find pins everywhere, don't you? That I got free with some magazines, and I've gone through them. I've either got them or they're not my cup of tea. So I've decided to let them go. So I'm not quite sure. I'll either take those to a local sewing shop or to the charity shop or something like that. On the next shelf is my fabric. I don't have a big fabric haul. On saying that, I have got some upstairs. I've got a small Calex unit with 4 drawers in it, and I've got stuff in those 4 drawers, but some of it's upholstery and some dressmaking. So they're fabrics that I've got that I want to make up. Some of them, like this one, is waste from some projects I've done. I've used this to make a couple of sleeves for things. So that's in there. That one is mostly cotton. Everything in this one is cotton. That would go on there when I've got down to the last bit. So if I want to do a quilt, all the cotton's in one place, so I can just get it out and have a go. That is sort of scraps off of things that I've made recently, and I go through it every so often. And that is just a box that's got fleece fabric in it, because I made quite a few neck warmers for Christmas for people, so I keep those in that one. And then just turn my chair around. As I say, the dogs are always with me, so I have to watch where I put my feet. So on my trolley, I use the top one for anything that's an ongoing project. It's got some other bits in it at the minute. It's also got my project book, which I find handy because when you make something, when you get the pattern and it says that you need 3 metres of fabric, you may need 3 metres of fabric if you make the biggest size, but if you make a smaller size, you find that you've got quite a bit left. So I tried to use the waste up. I've made a couple of tops out of waste material from different projects, but I'd like to try and get that down. So I do try to write in how much waste I had from the project, so that I know I can buy less fabric for the next time I want to make it again. This project bag has got a project that I'm hoping to do over the next couple of days, depending on my eyesight. You alright, puppy? And that's in the top because that's the ongoing project. Things get put in there, as I say, everything's together. Any notions or any lining or interfacing or anything is all in the bag, so I don't have to mess about. And then when I come to do it, I can cut it out, cut the lining out, cut the interfacing out, keep everything in the bag, and then just continue to sew it. In the next one, it's quite a crowded one. I have 3 bobbin boxes. This one I'm trying to keep for Miriflex thread, and these 2 are normal thread. So I'm trying to get a bit more organised with that. This is my sewing machine needle box. And it's got my overlocker ones in as well. That keeps everything tidy. These are fine pins, because I have got some silk that I want to use, but for the minute I don't want to use something as expensive as that when I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to sew because of my eyes. These are hand sewing needles. Sorry, dog. I've got embroidery needles as well as normal sewing needles. This little tin has got my labels in. This one has got all the extra feet or accessories for either my overlocker or my sewing machine. So while I've got this out, I'll put the 2 feet back in. I have got a walking foot. In fact, I've got 2 because I bought one with my old machine, and then I bought one when I bought my new machine. It came with it. So that is a stick for cleaning my iron because I've been having trouble with interfacing. I've not always been able to tell which was the glued side, and I've done it thinking that I've got it the right way round and I haven't, so that comes in handy for cleaning my iron. Oh, got dropsies today. Another fabric glue. And this is a roll of labels that say handmade in different fonts. So that's that one. And I've got a spare tape measure and a set square. And I've also got a piece of Perspex. The Perspex I use because when I do my buttonholes and I use my buttonhole chisel, you've really got to press down hard to make sure that you get through all the layers. And I don't want to do it on my desk and ruin the top of the desk, so I keep this bit of Perspex to really press down on, and I find it very useful. It's really good for that. So that's that, and then in the bottom I have, that's just there because I'm not putting away, some PDF patterns that I've ordered, that I've got to trace off. That's a new pattern I've just ordered. I would like to make a swimming suit. Don't know how that's going to work out. I downloaded the Ruby skirt, which is on here. That's already traced off. This is a pattern that my husband bought because he was buying something on Amazon and he clicked on the wrong thing, and I ended up with a pattern which it's nice, it's nice, a nice pattern. The only problem is he's bought the 60 to 18 to 30 size, which I am not. So what I thought I'd do is see if I can grade inside to make the smaller sizes, so it don't go to waste. That's the master copy of the Ruby skirt, so that goes with the instructions. That's a project I've just done. These are the trousers that I made. I was going to take on holiday, but I was using these as a toil. and I just can't get the fit right. I seem to be very baggy around the bum. So instead I bought a pair for my holidays, and I'm going to take my time and have a good look at those and try and see if I can get the fit better on those. They're a nice trouser, they're a straight trouser, they're the Romy pants, and they're from the Patterns room. They have a side pocket and a fly and a waistband, so that they're a nice. I like the straight cut trousers rather than the flares or things like that. So that's something for me to carry on with and take my time. And this, my granddaughter is mad on mushrooms, and I want to make her a quilt. So I had a practice doing a mushroom for the centre panel. I don't think it turned out too bad, so I had to guess at it. The only thing I've done is I've made the square a foot and not made the allowances for the seams, which is going to cause havoc for the other bits. But that is a slow going project, so we'll see how that turns out. And that's it. So that is my oh no, and the only other thing is on the side of my cupboard I've got my little ironing board, which is desperate for a cover, a new cover, so I'm looking for some fabric for that. That just hangs on the side. So that is my sewing room. So I've got this much, and I make the most of it, and it just proves that you don't really need to have a massive room to do sewing. I think if you have a really large room, you just tend to clutter it with stuff and buy more fabric. And to me, I mean, I know a lot of people have got lots of fabric, and that's up to them, that's their preference, but I find I like to try and keep neat and tidy, and know what I've got, and I tend to see a pattern, I'll buy the pattern, I'll then go out and buy the fabric to make that pattern, get all the notions and make that pattern up. On saying that, my last fabric haul, I bought loads of fabric from Pound Fabrics. They had a sale on, and I got about 8 fabrics. A lot of them I thought I'd buy and I'd use them for toils, so if I need to practice something, I haven't paid a lot for them. Like these silk I've got, I would use one of those to do a toil first, and then when I'm happy that I'm not going to make a mess of it, I'd use the silk. But as I say, for the time being, there's not a lot of sewing going on because I just can't see well enough to do it. Some projects I've been doing are alright, and it doesn't really matter if my sewing is not absolutely perfect, but for the time being I'm just plodding. There will be a few more vlogs. When I get my appointment through for my eyes, I do know that for 2 weeks I won't be able to sew because I'll have a patch. And then from what they said, within about 4 weeks of having the first one done, I'd have the second one done, because I don't like to leave it too long so that it strains the eye that's just been done. So it may be that for a few weeks I don't do any sewing, but I may do a vlog of it. As everybody knows, when you're not feeling well, it's the best time for buying fabric. So if I can't see, and and I can't sew, that doesn't mean that I won't be doing fabric buying. So there may be a couple of fabric hauls, if nothing else, or patterns or whatever. So that should be in the future. I have got a couple more that I want to do before I have my eyes done. I have got a couple of things that I made towards the end of May, the end of May, that I can show you, and they'll be in my next vlog. So for now, I hope you all have a lovely time. I hope that if the weather's nice, you manage to get out and enjoy it, and if not, I hope you get some good sewing done, and I'll see you soon. Bye.